I'm going to talk to you today about self-healing system. What's the value add of client security, endpoint security, what HP is doing in terms of investments in the actual devices, the security of the devices, both on the client side as well as on the printer side. So for those of you who might not be fully up to speed, HP Incorporated, I mean, I got this question a couple of times today at our booth, which is in the corner back there. We have some prizes to go away, so please drop by. One of the key sort of areas that HP is focused on purely is clients, so personal systems and printing solutions. So HP Incorporated was diverged or split from the big HP that I left 14 years ago. And we have our dear colleagues of HP Enterprise at the other end of the showcase to discuss data center stuff. So everything inside the data center, that's HP Enterprise. Everything outside of the data center, that's HP Incorporated. And that's what I represent today. Now, of course, if you think about the way we work, the people you're hiring, the workforce is demanding more mobile devices, different types of devices. You have to think about what type of work your people do in your organizations. The workplaces are changing. How many of you here work primarily from home? Or spend at least 2-3 days a week working from home? Okay? How many of you don't care where you work? I mean, physically, I mean, the company, I mean, that's, you want your paycheck every month, right? So again, where you work doesn't really matter today. So you have your mobile phone. I have a mobile phone. I have a Telia subscription, so I get 4G, hopefully 5G going forward, covering the Baltics and Finland. The way you work, you make conference calls, you join conference calls, you work across countries, regions, continents. So things are changing. Now, of course, when you think about the places you work, how many of you still have an office? Like a physical, somebody needs to actually knock on the door and you walk in and you got a desk and... still pretty many. We don't. So when I go to the HP office outside of Helsinki, I walk in and I basically pick and choose where I want to sit. This also happened when I was at Microsoft. We had a big renovation of the offices. So you had various different areas where to work if you wanted to collaborate. You had all your collaboration solutions, all your networking and everything set up so that you had your screens and presentation equipment available. Or when you wanted to work in a quiet space, it was like a library, so nobody was supposed to say anything. But that also means that the flexibility of how you work creates more risk. So, for instance, the threat of visual hacking. If you're in an airplane, on a bus, in a train, in an airport lounge, in a public space, in a hotel, if you're in a public space, a public area, somebody can look at your screen and capture data. Visual hacking succeeds 9 out of 10 times. So if somebody actually wants to get a hold of your information, it's much easier for them to buy a cheap set of binoculars and look at what's on your screen. That's something that we're focused on in preventing. We're not talking about products anymore these days. We want to talk about experiences. If you're only fixated on a product, and the product has the same specs that the next guy, you're likely to change that product. But if the experience that you get from working with a specific device and the solutions and services around it, if the experience is good, if you have a good experience, you typically tell that to probably at least 10 people. Statistically speaking, if you have a bad experience, you tell that to everybody. That's a fact out of customer service experience from my own IT career. HP is innovating in both the client space, so the types of devices, the experiences that they give you when you use them, but also in the solutions and from an IT point of view, the security and the manageability of those devices. The title of the presentation contained the word self-healing. I'll discuss that in a bit. It's one of the key areas that HP has invested in, and it also provides you a solution for these types of scenarios. How many of you have seen a system crash at an airport, like on a screen? I saw one, this is from a mall, so a shopping mall, kind of a very nice looking blue screen, I think. The rate of change is constant. If you're in the IT business, I mean, even if you're a home user, the amount of updates that you get every single week, month, even day, can be tedious. So the rate of change is constant. We're in a constant flux, and this causes some concerns. Any of you experienced a ransomware attack? One courageous person. So a couple. So one of the key spokespersons for F-Secure, if you know the Finnish-based security company. So Mikko Hyppönen is the technology evangelist, goes around talking at various different conferences. One of the more innovative versions of the WannaCry ransomware attack was one where instead of you paying $300 worth of Bitcoin to get your system opened up, decrypted, if you got 2 other people to pay, you got yours decrypted for free. So the bad guys got 600 and you got yours opened up for free. So there are very innovative ways of ransomware attacks. From an HP point of view, we're not in the security business per se, but we do provide solutions where if something happens, we give you the tools to recover and get up into a productive state as fast as possible. One cool website that I ran into, I think sometime about a year and a half ago. Information is Beautiful. It's informationisbeautiful.com. You can go and look at all kinds of data visualizations. So there are a huge number of data breaches, hacks. Most of them are through social hacks. Statistically speaking, again, over 60% of any security event or a security breach come from endpoints. So you can invest millions in your data center. You can go to the HP Enterprise guys, pay them, huge amounts of money, but if you have that one slightly dubious user that clicks on the wrong link, you might be compromised. So that's something that HP is focused on. Our philosophy is the basic philosophy of security. You need to detect any changes, any potential malicious activity. You need to protect your device. And if something happens, you want to recover as fast as possible. So these are the investments that HP is investing in. Now, threats target every layer of the system. You're probably familiar with, cloud-based attacks, application vulnerabilities, operating system vulnerabilities, et cetera, et cetera. So there's multiple layers in a system. You take any system, you have the services, the applications, the underlying operating system, and then you have the hardware level. Now, the rate of change is constant. We get security bulletins and all kinds of sort of announcements of various different vulnerabilities, even going down to, like for instance, a year ago we had the Intel Spectre meltdown issues where you had to fix basically the microcode of devices. Nowadays you have issues with the Intel Management Engine firmware, you have device drivers, audio drivers, video drivers with various different vulnerabilities. So keeping and maintaining a constant green status is becoming very, very hard. What we do is we protect you from the ground up. How many of you noticed the October-November timeframe last year? The LoJack's UFI Rootkit Hack. So our friends from the East, there's a hacker group that attacked Central European and Eastern European government organizations as well as corporations with a device-level rootkit. Now, if you don't know what a rootkit is, you might want to Google, or even Bing might find it. As a former Microsoft person, I need to throw in a Bing versus Google anecdote. I know the Microsoft colleague is coming after me, so if you want to search for something, Bing will search it for you. But if you want to find something, you go to Google. So, sorry, Microsoft, I had to do it. So, if you want to search or even find things around a rootkit, search for the Sony Rootkit Hack from 2012. So Sony, if you don't know the case, it's kind of interesting. It was during the time when people were copying DVDs and Blu-rays. So Sony went out and basically bought this piece of software from a company that used hackers to create a rootkit to install a copy protection without the user knowing that it was on the device. So when you put a DVD in your PC, it would install a piece of software that would stay on the device. Even if you reboot it or reinstall the operating system, it would protect those DVDs and Blu-rays from being copied. That hit a light bulb at HP Labs. So at HP Labs, in 2013, we came out with what we call Surestart. So Surestart is present. It's always there in our elite systems. It's always there in our printers, in our enterprise printers. It makes sure that whenever you power on the device, it checks to make sure that the BIOS, the microcode that runs when you start the device, is always pure and clean. So there's no malicious code. We have a white paper regarding the LoJack's UFI rootkit case from last October, November. We've actually tested it, infected a machine, enabled Surestart, and our system has cleaned itself up. So that's what we, in terms of the self-healing that I put in my, my sort of subject line at the start of the presentation, that is the self-healing capability of an HP device. Be it a personal system, be it a desktop, laptop, mobile workstation, or even a printer. We have value-add solutions in the operating system. And of course, if we're talking about our dear friends at Microsoft, modern management, autopilot, Intune, as well as your traditional system center, manageability, compliant enforcement, security, policy enforcement tools for centralized management. So the three areas that basically in a sort of a nutshell, what HP is working on. One thing that you want to see, if you haven't seen it, come to our booth. We have devices there where you can actually see the electronic privacy filter. This is what we call the Shoreview. You press a single button, and instead of those plastic films that you have to tape on top of the screen and stuff, it's electronic. You press one button, and it will switch you into privacy mode. So only the person that is directly behind you can actually see what's on your screen. We've also come out with external monitors with this feature. So if you have public spaces where you're meeting customers and you don't want them to see any confidential information, you can set the privacy filter on, privacy filter off, etc. We have value-add software in the operating system for secure browsing and secure browsing solutions around that. There is no security technology for stupidity, unfortunately. So again, if you have that one person that clicks on a link and submits their credit card information, no security company can prevent that. But you can prevent them from infecting anybody else and doing only the stupid stuff to themselves. If something happens, we have the recovery capabilities, cloud-based recovery to make sure that your system is up and running as fast as possible. If you want to have more insight into all of this, HP also provides proactive management and security services. So you can talk to Telia, for instance. We have pilots going with customers where we give access to telemetry and performance and health data regarding the devices. You get access to preemptive warranty. So we have, for instance, 3-year warranties on our extended life cycle batteries. So if your battery is not charging according to spec, you get to replace that battery before it fails. The idea being that before your sales executive or sales manager calls the help desk because they have an issue, you can call them to help them resolve that issue before it actually becomes a huge productivity problem. So if you want to learn more, please come by the booth. We can talk about the HP legacy of security leadership. Again, HP Labs has been in the business for a long time. We've been involved in industry standard specs, as well as new innovations around protecting devices, protecting our various solutions in the marketplace. And more is coming, so stay tuned. If you're an HP customer, you're hopefully in good hands with our partner, Telia, and our resources that are available to you. So with that, I'll finish off with a short video. We have a panel discussion coming up later in the afternoon, so feel free to throw some questions out there, and thank you very much.
You know what they call companies that rely on elite software to protect their data and identity? Easy targets. When you make a PC decision, it's a security decision too. Protect, detect, and recover from threats with HP Elite PCs, the world's most secure and manageable PCs. HP Elite PCs, the world's most secure and manageable PCs. Protect, detect, and recover with HP Hardware and Force Security Solutions.